From Relay FM, this is Connected, episode 123, Episode Maker. This episode is brought to you by Casper and Squarespace. My name is Myke. I am joined by Mr. Federico Vitici. Ciao, Federico.
Hi, Myke. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm doing better. Yeah.
Good. That's always good to hear. Mr. Stephen Hackett, welcome to the show.
Happy New Year, boys.
Happy New Year. Happy New Year. I didn't realize until I started talking that this is 123. This is 123 Episode Maker. That's what this show is all about.
This is your branded episode, Myke.
This is the show. I've been waiting for this one. This is the year of the 123 brand, 2017.
Yes.
If you thought 2016 was big for the 123 brand, wait until you see what 2017 is going to bring.
You were put on this planet, Myke, for this very episode, so try not to blow it if you can.
Wow.
This is your moment, Myke.
This is my time to shine.
Yes.
Are you going to take it all the way to 4 for 2017?
Oh, I hadn't even thought of that.
You could go up. It's good. Okay. So we're going to do some follow-up, and MT Walker on Twitter has sent us a link to an episode of The Prompt, which is the show. People might not be familiar. The Prompt was the show we did before Connected. This is episode 10. The date is August 21st, 2013. And in this episode, we were talking about gaming on the iPad, and I say that I would really like Super Mario on the iPad, and the two of you really shoot me down. Me down real hard over it.
And I will continue to, because what you were looking for is not what we have, and I stand by my original statement that Super Mario on the iPad, classic Super Mario, which is what you were talking about, wouldn't work. So I stand by my original statement. The Mario game that we were talking about back then in episode X of The Prompt is not what we have. So
also, it's not me on that show. You can listen to the voice is clearly different. There must be an imposter or something. Someone you called as a guest. I guess it's not me. Definitely not me. So I'm not apologizing for anything, Stephen.
Well, I will bend on one thing here, which is that me and Federico are also like incredulous in the fact that it would never happen. And I think that when I said that it would, I think I said that it wouldn't be a good game, like it wouldn't work. And I'm referring to old Mario. But I think me and Federico both say something along the lines of it would never happen. As in, Nintendo would never make a Mario game for iOS.
Right.
And so I will say on that part that we were incorrect. But I stand by my original statement of traditional Mario would not work because you need buttons, which is what I said at the time. And I still stand by that. Which is why I think Nintendo went the route that they did with just Super Mario 1 being a single tap. Because there are so many really good looking platformer games on iOS, but I just can't play any of them because I hate those on-screen D-pads and stuff.
Right.
Yeah, they're no good.
I really
so many things have changed in nearly 4 years, especially for Nintendo. I mean, the Wii U had just come out, I think, in the fall before the episode.
Which you think, at that time, was the follow-up to one of the most successful games consoles of all
Exactly,
time.
and we were all waiting for Nintendo to take on Sony and Microsoft again. And I guess it was normal to say Nintendo's never going to do an iPhone game, just because it made no sense at the time, which is, I guess it's a lesson to be learned about, never say never, which is totally, it sounds so obvious, but in hindsight, we got that aspect wrong because so many things have changed. The Wii U didn't do well, and of course now Nintendo is doing not just Mario but a whole family of iOS games.
Yep.
So yeah.
Also, we sound horrific in this episode.
Yeah.
Once again, it's not me. I'm just commenting on another person's opinions here. But yeah.
So bad.
Interesting. So we wanted to, I think, quickly talk about AirPods. They've been out a couple weeks now. We've all had ours. We got them right like right around the time of the last episode, but the last episode was dedicated to putting 2016 in the ground. I would say for me, quickly, like super two big thumbs up. The AirPods, for me at least, are comfortable. They sound good. They work as advertised. The Bluetooth range is like hard to believe. So at my house, if I leave my phone in the kitchen and walk to our master bedroom, my Apple Watch and phone will disconnect. But the AirPods show like no struggle whatsoever to stay connected. It's really impressive. And I wanted to point people, if you haven't seen it, someone named Casey, I don't know how to pronounce his last name, Liss.
I think it's French. It's Lycée.
Oh,
Okay.
Okay,
So,
thank you, European.
Casey Lissé wrote a really nice post about AirPods and just like painted this little scene of him and his wife watching something when their kids slept. It's a really nice post, and it's something that I think a lot of us feel really good about this product because it sort of rekindles like some of the magic of Apple hardware in the past. Like when I look at the AirPods and when I fiddle with the case, like it brings me the same kind of like tactile happiness that some of the old iPods brought me.
Yeah.
And I think it's cool, so I'm a big fan. Now, Myke, I know you traveled with them recently. How did that go?
Kind of as I expected, mostly. The good parts is that they are very simple. They work so well, right? You know, like you just pop them in and it's connected and you're just ready to go. The box and, you know, the little case or whatever you'd call them in, like in the battery, that's also really small, really light, which is fine. I find the AirPods to be comfortable. I found the EarPods to be comfortable, right? Like I feel that is a good thing to mention, that everything was fine for me there. So these are even better because they're so light, right? There's kind of, it feels like nothing. The battery life was fantastic. I had absolutely no issues. I charged them before I left. I took 2 transatlantic flights and used the AirPods on both flights. I didn't charge it any more than that. And I still had battery life when I came home. So the battery is fantastic. The problem with air travel is exactly what I expected, the two kind of things. There are times where they're not loud enough. When we were coming into land in New York, it was far too loud. The plane was far too loud, and I couldn't hear the movie that I was watching. And they're also like the fiddliness of them can be an issue. Like getting them in and out of the case. Like at one point, like I took one out of the case and it kind of slipped out of my hand, and I just caught it in time. Because one place that you don't want to drop your AirPods is on an airplane, because they get in between those seats and you can kind of lose them forever. Including one moment where me and Adina were talking about them and she wanted to try them, and I gave it to her and she immediately dropped it down in between the 2 seats. Immediately, like we as we were talking about it, and she was able to fish it out, which was great. But that is a concern, I think, when using these things, is that they are so light and so small that they can be a bit unpredictable in that way. But I feel like this is one thing that we'll just get used to over time, and we'll just be able to maybe, you know, at least I found myself on the flight home just being cautious in different ways, like not to the point where it was making things difficult, but just like when I got up to use the bathroom, I just took them out of my ears and put them immediately in the case.
Yeah.
You know, as opposed to like maybe what I would have done in the past, which is just leave my headphones on or just throw them onto the seat when I got up or something.
Right. You could just tape them to your ears and they'd stay put.
Yeah. I'll get a big rubber band, put them around my head.
Perfect.
It's all good.
It's really stylish.
Yeah. I've also been traveling with the AirPods. I haven't been on a plane. I've been on a train. And I just love them so much. I think they must be my favorite Apple purchasing years, maybe. Even more than the new iPhone or the new watch, just because they feel so new and so different.
Yeah, like those products, the watch and the phone, they're just iterative. They didn't give you anything like completely new in the way that the AirPods did. Exactly,
because even the first watch, it was a new product from Apple, but it was a watch. It was like a digital version of a pre-existing item in the human history. Whereas the AirPods, I know that similar earbuds exist, but it's still very early, and Apple is already in this game of totally wireless earbuds. And they've been working great for me. Like you said, my great battery life. I think the case, the system is genius. The way that you flip it open and you see the light, and if it's green, they're charged. If it's charging, the light is orange. I think it's great. Good audio quality. I've been using it on a train, and I love how when you take one AirPod out of your ear, the music stops playing.
Yep.
But I've also noticed that I've been keeping the AirPods. I've been wearing the AirPods when I'm at home. And doing so, I use Siri a lot more, just because it's so much easier and so much more accurate than using Siri on the iPhone, because you have these two microphones basically around your mouth, and so the recognition is much better. And also, it's just convenient to double tap the AirPods and ask stuff to Siri.
So you have double tap for that then?
Yes.
I changed it to pause because that is something I want to do more.
I would like to have separate gestures for each AirPod.
Yeah.
So like the left one is pause and the right one is Siri. I guess that will come in the future. And I have some minor complaints, or maybe like little nitpicks. The case is kind of hard to clean, and it's a little bit of a lint magnet.
I've got so much in mine. It was unbelievable. Yeah. Like in the seams and like in the magnetic mechanism, like at the back. And yeah, it's terrible.
But I guess that's to be expected if you want, this little toy that you
lives
carry
in
around.
Your pocket constantly, right? Like,
exactly.
It makes sense.
That's to be expected. But I wish there was a black version of the AirPods.
I never knew how much I wanted this until you just said it.
Yeah, it'd be awesome.
I would way prefer a black version of these than a white version of these.
There are some concepts around, and even just looking at the Photoshop, it looks terrific. And I feel like the black glossy version would alleviate a lot of the problems with the lint and with the fact that it lives in your pocket. But still, I'll take the white model over no model at all. And I also noticed that again, it's not just music, because once you have Siri in your ear, you can do a lot more things. And there's an article by Ben Bajarian at TechPinions about this. It's a very good piece about how the AirPods unlock a whole new layer of Siri interaction, which makes me wonder if this is another incentive for Apple to expand Siri even more. Because imagine if, right now, for example, you can ask the AirPods to play Apple Music and to send payments with PayPal and Venmo, which I did today. Myke knows about it. So you have these limited domains. For example, you can start a workout with the AirPods. But I wonder, imagine if you could do a lot more things like listen to podcasts with Siri and the AirPods, or add stuff to your task manager or to your calendar app. There's even we were talking about, Apple needs to have more SiriKit domains for developers. And now with the AirPods, I feel like that's even a stronger argument in favor of Apple needs to expand Siri even more. Because now with the AirPods, it's the perfect combination of the two.
Yeah, that's a really good point. One of my favorite things, talking about like the way that you mentioned like podcasts and stuff, but it's like a slight aside. Like I'm listening to a show on the speaker of my iPhone, and then I'm going to leave the house, and I put the AirPods in, and it changes.
Yes.
It's just little things like that, which just make this. It feels like a typically Apple thought out product, and I think it's because it's not as complex as an iPhone or a Mac, right? Like it is as complex as an iPod. It is. Yeah. It is focused. It is a simple idea, so you can completely polish the execution of it because there are less dependencies. There are less things that can go wrong. So it's like, I think the reason we're all feeling so like happy about this is because there's some nostalgia to it, because it reminds us of the products that originally got us interested in Apple, at least, especially for me and Federico. Like the iPod stuff and like the first iPhone. It's like it's just this thing that they could chisel away at and polish until it was perfect. And I think they were able to release that product, and it really is just brilliant. It really is just brilliant. And this is such a great starting point for what I think will be a really great line of products into the future. there is one thing that AirPods are missing, which is a way to find them if you lose them. And there is an application that I saw today, a couple of people linking it on Twitter, which I don't understand how it exists. It's called Find Your AirPods. And it is an application that you launch it, and basically you can use it to locate AirPods that you may have misplaced around the house. So, or anywhere really. So I tried it at home. I took one of my AirPods out of the case and put it in a place in my house. I opened the application, and then it does like basically a hot or cold, like hotter, colder as you get closer and further away from it. And it worked. Do you guys know how this is working? Like, how is it doing this?
It uses Bluetooth proximity. There's a bunch of apps that actually do this. You can find Fitbit finders, for example, or just other Bluetooth finder types of apps that use the strength of the Bluetooth signal to basically put together this kind of experience. And I bought the app this morning, and it's kind of shady, I think, because it uses artwork from the Apple website, like the AirPods animation is straight up from the apple.com website. And
hey, look, if you're going to do it, you got to get it right.
Yes, but I mean, it did work as expected. So I don't know if Apple wants this kind of app on the App Store.
That's why one of the reasons I bought it immediately.
Yes. I think it's going to be removed, especially because of the deliberate use of Apple trademarks. But yeah, it does work as expected. So if you're listening now, try the link.
This is what they make. Like finders for Bluetooth things.
Exactly.
I don't know why they didn't go with their current branding and just because they have a branding scheme for their applications, but they changed it for the AirPods one. Like everything kind of looks the same, but they changed it for this one. Anyway, but
maybe to get covered on a popular Apple podcast.
Probably. I wish, because the thing is, I agree. It's it's a little weird, and it's not super simple, but it's something. Because otherwise, there's nothing. Like if I dropped one, or lost one, even at home, there's no way to find it other than just finding it, right? There's no Find My AirPods.
Yeah, it is something that is a curious omission, and maybe it's because Apple wanted to keep it simple. But I would not mind seeing iOS, gain this feature at some point where it basically is doing what this third party app is doing, just because they are so small and they're expensive. And if you lose one, you can get just one replacement through AppleCare, but it's still still a chunk of change. So I got the app too, really just because I think it may go away, and I wanted to make sure I had access to it.
Yeah.
But I think it's something that Apple could add at some point. I think it would be welcome because most people are never going to know about this app or download it, or I think it was $3. I'm never going to pay for it.
Nope.
But having it built into iOS seems like a pretty natural extension of what they're already doing.
Yeah, especially when there seems to be some rudimentary support for something like this. It works well enough, right, that you could do it. And maybe that's Apple's problem, is that it's not, as precise. But I hope that we can see something in the future, some kind of tracking via Bluetooth. There are products on the market that do this type of stuff, right? Those little tracking devices that you can get.
Yeah, just the problem is the AirPod is just so small, right? You don't stick a tile reader on an AirPod. That would look hilarious. So there was a little story going around right before the new year about 10.3, and we should say that if this year is like last year, we will see 10.3, at least a preview of it, probably here in the next week or two. 9.3 was right after the new year last year. And this article is interesting over on Mac Rumors, talking about a new theater mode. There's Sonny Dickinson, who has been accurate in the past with some rumors saying that 10.3 will include a new theater mode and gain a popcorn-shaped icon and control center, which just really cracks me up.
It doesn't make any sense to me. I don't even know what it means.
So that's my problem with this. And maybe he doesn't know. Maybe that's all he knows, or he can share. When I first read this, I was like, oh, they're going to do a dark mode. And a theater mode is the perfect Apple product marketing name for dark mode. But those names don't leak very often. And I think the more I think about it, this is all just very strange, and I really don't know what to make of it. Down in the comments, and there was some debate online on Reddit and stuff about maybe it's maybe it's not dark mode. Maybe it's something that, forces your phone to like a real low brightness mode and, make sure that it's in like a do not disturb like thing. But
Why the popcorn?
well, because it's a theater mode. You go into a movie and they say put your phone in theater mode, and you just hit the popcorn because you're at the movie.
Why not just don't use your phone at the movies?
Because people are inconsiderate.
Yeah, I don't think that makes sense as like a control center.
I agree.
Shortcut.
I agree. I think that's super valuable real estate, and I think if they're going to do a dark mode, and that's what this is, then hey, that's cool. I don't really buy it. I don't really believe that yet, but
it seems strange. I don't know. Yes,
I bring it up because the whole story is super weird, and like maybe this dude is right. It'll be a popcorn button in all of our control center. I really don't see that.
Like, can
coming,
you imagine there being a dedicated shortcut for a mode for your phone to put in to when you go into a theater, but not for not for the power saving mode?
That's very specific, and like I don't know. Maybe what I can buy is there's going to be iOS 10.3. It's gonna add customization to Control Center, and now you can swap any of the toggles. And by the way, you can also put this new popcorn icon. Now that I can get behind.
Yeah.
That the whole Control Center is becoming customizable, and there's also this new mode that I understand. But to have the same Control Center with the same static layout and the popcorn button, just because you're going to the movies, it makes little sense to me, honestly.
But a popcorn button would be so much fun. No, I agree with you. This thing is strange.
It will be fun. But for what it's worth, I continue to hear, as we discussed last year, that 10.3 is going to have major iPad features. I don't know the extent of the major qualifier, but I'm optimistic about seeing stuff that we didn't see for the iPad back in June at WWDC, and I think it's gonna be fun. And again, as we discussed, I think on the last episode, I don't know what the timeline is gonna be in terms of we're gonna get a beta, then we're gonna get new iPads in March, maybe April, we don't know. But I think it's gonna be fun if you're an iPad user, which again puts me in the scenario of, should I put the beta on my work device or not? Should I put on the second iPad? But the problem is now Silvia is using the second iPad, so maybe I need a third iPad.
Yeah,
there it is.
No, Myke, I don't. No, I don't. So we'll see. Myke, you were just waiting for that.
Oh yeah, I'll be getting a third iPad, I'm sure, in maybe a third and a fourth. Who knows? In March, if they update the line.
You guys are just going all in on that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, I think that the pattern set last year, I think that makes a ton of sense. We covered this last year, but there's a lot to do with iOS to get that fall release ready. And the iPad gets all that stuff for free. And if the iPad is going to continue to be their force for like the future of computing, which I don't see changing, then it deserves more attention than just getting whatever the iPhone gets. And I think the spring time frame makes a ton of sense. They're pushing these things in education. They're pushing these things all over the place. Having it separate from the iPhone cycle is critical. Even for people like us who, upgrade, if not every year, every couple of years, it just makes it a little bit easier. So you're not buying a phone and a tablet in the fall. So I'm a big fan of what they did last year with 9.3 in the spring release. And I really hope that that's the pattern from here on out.
It'd be a pretty big teacher was right moment.
Yeah, let's hope so. What happens if I'm right? Do you buy me a present, for example?
I'll buy you an iPad.
Okay. People, you listen to what Myke said. He's gonna buy me an iPad.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Wow.
Do I get to choose the model?
No.
So
You're gonna get a 16 gigabyte mini too.
Thank you. At least it's got a Retina display.
Hey, Myke, I can sell you a original iPad if you want on the cheap and give it to him.
Yep. We can totally do that. Everybody just send me their iPads, and I'm going to send them to Federico, like all the iPads you
This
don't
is
want.
the worst bet I've ever participated in.
You should have stipulated terms quicker.
No,
mean,
it's
you're
terrible.
into it.
Just
Yeah,
terrible.
it's your own fault.
This week's episode is brought to you by Casper, the company focused on sleep that has gone ahead and created the perfect mattress that it sells directly to you, eliminating commission-driven, inflated prices. I was in New York last week, and I was walking down the street, and I saw a mattress showroom, which is something I've not seen in a long time. I don't really see any here in the UK, and I saw it, and it really made me laugh. Like, they had like their prices on the windows, and they were doing a big sale, and they were still super expensive. And it was the realization of the thing that I talk about, like these mattress showrooms. And it was just really funny to me, like the idea of going in there and sitting on this mattress and then deciding if I want to buy the mattress. When I think about like the way that Casper does it and how differently they do it, it was just like a really funny moment, because Casper is all about giving you the ability to try out the mattresses. So when you buy a mattress from Casper, it's completely risk-free. So you pick the mattress that you want, they'll ship it to you for free, and then if you don't like it, they'll take it away from you for free. They do free returns. They come and pick it up. In the US and Canada, they do free delivery and free returns with a 100-night home trial. So you don't just have it sent to home, sit on it for a day and see if you like it. You get 100 nights to sleep on it, to live with it, to see if it's the thing that you want. Like, if you don't love it, they'll pick it up from you and they'll refund you everything, no questions asked. This is because they understand the importance of truly sleeping on a mattress before you commit to it, especially because you're going to spend an incredible amount of time in your life on it. Casper's award-winning mattress was developed in-house. It has a sleek design, and it's delivered in an impossibly small box. And in addition to this mattress, Casper now offers pillows, adaptive pillows, and soft breathable sheets as well. Casper's mattress was engineered for thousands of hours. They have so many people working on this, developing that mattress. It is made of supportive memory foam. It's got just the right sink and just the right bounce, and its breathable design helps to regulate your temperature throughout the night. Casper makes quality mattresses at great prices, and they are made in America. And you can get $50 towards any mattress purchase by going to casper.com/connected and using the code connected at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Thank you so much to Casper for their support of this show. So we have licensed the drafting technology from Jason Snell, and we are going to do an Apple predictions draft for 2017. We have 3 rounds. We're going to go round robin style. Who is going to go first?
Me.
All right, Federico's going to go first. What we're going to do is we're each going to get a pick that we're going to have over 3 rounds of the predictions that we want. No predictions can be reused, and then we will be held to these predictions as the year goes through, and then I have now decided that there will be a predictions champion by the end of the year.
Wow.
Okay.
If you're going to do this, you may as well have a winner.
Yes.
That is what made the drafts, the event drafts for me and Jason really fun, when we decided that there would be a winner at the end of it. So, Federico, you are first up. What is your first... Oh, by the way, and it's an extra rule, we decided that we couldn't go for super simple things, like Apple will release an iPhone.
It's got to be specific and some.
Mine are very specific.
Specific is great. Specificity is king in predictions drafting. So, Federico, please go ahead with the first prediction for 2017.
Okay. My first prediction is, following the success of the Amazon Echo and Alexa, I'm not going to say that Apple is going to make a speaker, but I'm going to say we will see Siri on the iPhone and the iPad, and especially on the iPhone, I think, gain more verbal spoken responses. Basically, I think Siri is going to talk more, even more than it talks now when activated via voice. So right now in iOS 10, Siri changes whether you activate it via voice or with the home button. But it basically shows you more interface elements on the screen when you're holding the phone, and it speaks more when you're also speaking to Siri, because it assumes you're not touching the phone, therefore you're not looking at the screen, therefore I need to talk more. And I think we're going to see an even more conversational Siri that reads the news, that gives you details about music, that basically, like Alexa, is able to hold longer conversations and to make sure that you're not looking at the phone to perform some actions. And I think, especially because of the AirPods, we will see this kind of new, deeper Siri interactions, longer conversations, fewer interface elements, and less need to take out your phone and look at the Siri interface.
That's a really good and very specific pick. So you fit the bill perfectly.
Yay.
Stephen, I will allow you to go next.
Oh, that's very kind of you.
I'm being
Michael.
very kind today. Very kind.
I'm going to say that instead of a edge-to-edge unicorn iPhone, we're going to see an iPhone that looks more or less the way the 7 and 7 Plus looks. That this cycle will get an S, and that we will have 4 years of more or less the same chassis design.
I don't like this prediction.
Well, it's going to be true. So
Myke is not happy, Steven.
No,
That's okay.
I really am concerned about that idea that we will. What would it be? The fourth iteration of this design?
Fourth.
That would be concerning to me, honestly. Like, if we went out this year with the fourth iteration of this design, like, they would be having to pack some serious features into the phone for me to kind of feel cool about that, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like, it just, and again,
I don't like the idea, but I think it's going to happen.
right. I'm not. This is just to make this very clear. We are not advocating for these things. They're just things that we believe may be true. But it would just be like, I think it would just feel bad. Like when other companies are making new phone designs, whether you like them or not, like there are different things happening. It would be concerning to me if we had a 4.5 phone with the same design. I would wonder what was happening at Cupertino, honestly, because this is the most valuable product, and people like new and fresh designs, and new designs allow for new features, right? And it would be a shame.
It would be. I agree with you. It would be a shame, but I'd love to be wrong, but I just have this feeling that this is how it's going to play out. What about you, Myke? What is your first round pick?
So I'm gonna go weird with this one, just from what I'm saying. I believe that 2017 will give birth to a more powerful iMac, making the need for the Mac Pro to go away.
Whoa!
And Apple phases out the Mac Pro.
Whoa!
I can imagine now some people marching towards your house, burning posters of iMacs, and just.
If Apple was able to pack in, like, I don't know, like 6, 12, 18 cores into the iMac in a way that made sense, at that point, why even bother? Like, the Mac Pro is not expandable, realistically, anymore. It is just a cylinder that you attach a screen to. So I really see a world where they just say, well, we don't need this anymore. We'll just make the iMac more powerful and then just sell one machine, and it's just really expensive. And I understand the issues of, like, the screen dying, and, like, a Mac Pro will last longer than a screen, right? You can replace the screen and keep the computer the same.
But when's the last time an iMac screen died 4 years in? Like that feels old school.
I agree with that idea, but, like, I can imagine there being concern from people from that, right? Or, like, if screen technology improves, well, you can't do anything about it, even though the guts of your machine don't improve at as quick a rate. But whatever. That's what I think is going to happen, because I genuinely think that it doesn't make sense for Apple to continue with both of these lines. I just don't think it makes them the money that they want. So a good way to kind of keep everyone happy would be to try and find a way to make the iMac more powerful than the Mac Pro, right? Like, I don't know enough about how you do this stuff, but it just seems like the right option to me. Like, even if, like, this one had a slightly different design, right, that maybe it was a bit thicker, I still think it would make more sense for them in the long run to find a way to make that work than to continue trying to keep both of these product lines going. And also from an innovation perspective as well. Like, I think that if they had all their focus on one desktop Mac, like, and also with this, the Mac Mini goes away as well. Like, there is just the iMac. Like, that's all there's going to be.
So are you adding that to your prediction, the Mac Mini is going away? That makes your prediction... you said it.
All right, keep it in.
the Mac Mini also. I'm typing this out. Also,
This is why you got to cut those predictions quick, because you end up talking yourself into a
you
corner.
talked yourself into a big corner, and you took one of mine. One of mine was going to be the Mac Mini is end of life.
Yeah, I'm now going to say, because I'm going to go wild with this, that by the end of 2017, there is one desktop Mac, and it's the iMac.
Wow. That's intense, man.
Because this is the thing. If nothing happens, whatever. But if this does happen, right? This is what Myke was founded on. Wild speculation that could turn out to be true.
You're just digging your own grave, Myke.
I'm fine with that.
Well,
Okay. So round one, we have Siri getting better at verbal communication, not making you look at the screen. We have the iPhone 7S and 7S Plus looking like the 7 and 7 Plus. And we have Myke killing all the desktop Macs except the iMac and potentially what we would dub a more powerful high-end iMac.
you know the Steve Jobs grid. In Mike's version, it's just a square. Just
Yeah,
iMac.
it's just a circle, and it's got one product in the middle.
In the middle, just iMac.
But no, but then it goes back into the square, because there will still be laptops.
Sure,
Right.
that's right.
Yeah, I feel like I went too far. I wish I could walk it back, but it's too late now.
But it's in the Google Doc and is going to be in my note to revisit in December of this year. So round two, I get to go first because we are round robining our predictions, which is very confusing. So I got a bunch of stuff here. Like I said, you took the Mac Mini will get dropped, so I'm scratching that off my page. I am going to go with I'm going to talk about iCloud, and in particular the storage limitations of iCloud. And I'm going to say that 2017 is the year where we see the 5 gigabyte free plan finally get updated.
Wow,
I'm not going to say to what. That's too
one.
specific.
Yeah.
But I think it's time. I think Apple is going to do it. I think they have the capacity to increase that 5 gigabyte free plan to something bigger.
That's a good one. I agree. Yeah.
They build another floor on top of the North Carolina data center.
Yeah, I mean that's probably what it would take.
I miss that place, you know.
Yeah, I think it's time. So that's my round two prediction. Now, Myke, you just burned a lot of bridges in round one.
All right,
so maybe you should go
Myke.
conservative this time.
No,
Try not to upset 1,000 other people.
I'm not going conservative. I have I have a small list of predictions here, and I've decided I'm going for the wildest of them all.
Oh, God.
I'm just trying to provide some balance. So my second is that there will be an iPhone Pro which gains Apple Pencil support. This was a rumored product. I think it is a product that is worth moving forward with. I think that the there will be 2 Apple Pencils that will be available before the end of the year. There will be the standard large one and a smaller one, and the smaller one will be used by the iPhone and the iPad Mini. I'm doing it again. I don't know why I keep doing this. But yeah, I think that there will be an iPhone Pro which has Apple Pencil support. And if Stephen's prediction is true, then this will help make that sellable, right? There will be something in the iPhone line which is new, and it is the iPhone Pro which has Apple Pencil support, and I'm sure some other features, but I'm not going to even think about what they might be because I can't go any further into this right now.
Yeah. Wow. That's interesting. I wrote a thing for Federico about, pencil support on trackpads, like how it'd be nice to have that input on the Mac. But I see the same case being built for the phone. I mean, they have the software there on the iPad. It's kind of there in iOS, and I agree with you. It could make another year of the same case design a little more palatable to people. So, yeah, that's really interesting. Well, what about you, Federico? What's up?
All right. My second prediction is Apple Music is going to be redesigned again, and it will gain more Spotify-like algorithmic features. And especially, I expect Apple to provide a solution to 2 aspects of listening to music based on algorithmic recommendations. An Apple version of the Spotify Daily Mix, which is an easy way to just start listening to something you like, and a way to discover back catalog songs from artists you don't know.
Man, you are pulling a Myke on this prediction.
Yes. Basically, it's very simple. I expect Apple to redesign Apple Music again and to copy Daily Mix and Discover Weekly.
Yep.
That's it.
And back catalog songs from artists that you don't...
That's Discover Weekly.
Right, okay.
Back catalog songs from artists you don't know. Yeah.
All right.
It's actually quite simple.
What does a redesign of Apple Music mean, though?
I don't mean as drastic of a change as last year, but still significant enough to be called a redesign.
So it's visually different as well, again?
Not as drastic as iOS 8 to iOS 9 to iOS 10, but let's call it, I don't know, Apple. If this is Apple Music 2.0, Apple Music 2.5. You know?
So it's going to focus more on additional features as opposed to a new user interface.
Yeah, but yes, but also, like still a lot of visual changes, the same underlying structure. So you can look at it and see, okay, it is Apple Music, but it's changed a lot. Mm-hmm. Like when you go from Tweetbot in iOS 6 to Tweetbot in iOS 7, right? It's the same structure, but you can see that it's different, right? The elements were still in the same place, but the graphics were all new. Because I think there's a lot of things that don't work in Apple Music. The information density is all wrong. There's no easy way to see the progress of a song in the now playing widget. Getting to the shuffle controls, even with iOS 10.2, is still too difficult for a lot of people. There's a bunch of things to fix and to improve. So I feel like a significant redesign is needed. And I also feel like Apple knows that it's behind Spotify in terms of algorithmic features. And I feel like they want to do them. And I think we're going to see them.
All right. So is it me next?
Yes, you lead round 3. And I honestly am a little nervous.
All right. Because I'm going big. I'm going big to go home.
All right. Hit us. Hit us.
In 2017, we will see some element of an AR-focused device from Apple.
Tim Cook's, I'm going to cut you off before you say anything crazy. Tim Cook has been talking about this for years. Like they talked about sensors and stuff. Yeah.
I'm saying nothing more, but I think that there will be something which is it's augmented reality.
Alternate
reality. We will see an alternate reality device from Apple.
Your other picks are an alternate reality device.
Yeah, I think augmented reality by the end of the year in some form. And it is purely because Tim won't shut up about it, right? Like every time somebody talks about VR, he's like, well, what about AR? This is Tim.
Yeah.
So I think that might be... Again, so the only addition that I will make is just that this could help the September announcement, right? If there is something here, if the iPhone is going to see no change, and there have been rumors that right, saying that like the body's going to be the same, but we're going to get a red one. If that sort of stuff is true, then that might help this out. So there you go. There's my 3 really wild picks.
So to go big, just as Myke did for the final prediction, I'm gonna say what I originally had as an extra, if possible, if allowed by the rules.
You can, your picks, they can be wherever you want them to be.
Okay, so my third prediction is we're gonna see an executive shakeup in the Mac and iOS teams. Some kind of major change to reorganize the way that the Mac OS and iOS are organized and developed inside Apple. So I don't know. I don't have any details, of course. It's just my idea. just a prediction of we're going to see some changes in terms of how the teams are structured, who's responsible and whatnot. So I think we're going to see that.
That would be exciting.
It would be. I'd be okay with that if it meant certain things. So I'm gonna go crazy and I'm gonna play defense against Myke with my final pick. I did have the Mac Mini would be in, see an end of life in 2017. But I also had that the Mac Pro will have a redesign in 2017.
Oh, God.
I think that it is still for sale for a reason. And I think that you said it yourself, the cylinder design doesn't work really. So I have a 5K iMac, just like you do, Myke, and I can upgrade the RAM in it, and that's it. Now, on the Mac Pro, to be fair, you can do the RAM and you can do the SSD, but you can't do anything else. You can't put cards in it. You can't put extra, more than the 2 drive slots. You can't do anything like that. So I'm not saying they're going to go back to a tower. I don't know what this looks like, but I think that the cylinder design has proven too limiting for pros. And I think the whole idea of like building around dual GPUs and you're gonna use those GPUs for your apps and then you're gonna do math problems really fast, like that just hasn't happened. And I think that it was a bold try to push computing on the Mac in that direction, and it hasn't worked. And they need to realign it with what people actually want and need. And so I'm going to say for my last pick, redesigned Mac Pro.
That's it. Do we want to do some extras? Now, the extra picks, I would like to institute another rule here, considering that this is now a competition, I guess.
I would say they can't hurt you, but they can help you.
Oh, you're saying they can help? I was going to say no points.
I would say that if you get an extra right, then it's I don't know. Let's just see what happens.
I would say no points because you didn't feel it was enough to give it a round 1, 2, or 3, right? So
that's a good point.
You didn't have enough confidence in it, or at least you weren't going for it. So I will start with my extra. I have 1, and it's one that I actually think is more likely to happen than any of the things that I picked.
Yeah. I think we each pick 1. I think we just each have 1.
All right. So my extra, I think that will definitely happen, but I wanted to go wild. A 10.9-inch bezel-less iPad Pro.
Okay.
And I think that there is a lot of smoke around this fire, and I have the reason that I think that we may see it kind of again. I keep going to this, but leads into what Stephen was saying. So, if we have an iPhone design that doesn't change, one way for Apple to prove that they are still able to do this stuff, but for whatever reason the iPhone won't change, is that they can point to the iPad and show that they have a bezel-less device, indicating that this is a design that will come to the iPhone in the future. That's one trend of it. The other is, this is just where all the devices are going this year, and the iPhone will be the same. But I think that the iPad may get it first because it may actually be easier to do with a bigger device because you have more space under the rest of the screen to fit everything in. So I think that it will happen, but I wanted to... I'm in a bit of a crazy mood today, so I wanted to go a bit wild with my actual predictions.
Are we sure we cannot have 2 extras?
You can have another extra because you're not scoring on it, so why not?
Yeah. Okay.
So why don't you go with 1, and then I'll go, and you go with your second.
All right. So I'm gonna go with in iOS 10.3, split view is gonna be redesigned, and when you swipe down to change apps, you're not going to see the vertical tray anymore. You're going to see the home screen. So you can find all your apps and put whatever you want next to another one.
So it's going to be a straight up replication of your home screens?
Yes.
Like in portrait mode?
Yes.
Interesting. Okay. I mean, I would like that. I hope that they do that.
Mine is also iPad related. I'm not going to... I guess I can't. There's no point. So I'm not going to marry myself to a release number. But I'm going to say that the multi-user support that we saw in 9.3 for education, that we see that available to the masses in one way or another. So multi-user support on iPad is something that I've wanted for a long time as a dad with 2 older kids who share an iPad. It's a real pain, and I think it's time.
All right. So my final extra is we're going to see new iPad accessories from Apple that combine a keyboard or a case with an Apple Pencil holder. So there's going to be an integrated solution from Apple to have a keyboard and protection and a pencil all together in the same accessory.
That would be nice. I mean, I use that,
Yeah.
but Logitech make
Yeah.
it.
Yes, exactly.
It's true.
Yeah, I still think that even if Apple did it, maybe Logitech's next version would still be better, just because they have different ideas of what the keyboard's going to be, you know? But we'll see. I mean, I like the backlit keyboard and the clicky keys, and I don't think that Apple's keyboard would be that. I think it would just be the smart keyboard, right? Because they want to keep it thin and light.
Mm-hmm.
But it would still be cool, though. Maybe for the big one, because the big Logitech Create is a monster.
Yeah. I was just trying it again the other day, and it's just so bulky.
Big. It's just there's just so much. But the little one is fantastic. All right,
It
so
is.
that's it. We'll check back on this. I guess, maybe throughout the year, if things happen and we remember them, we can touch on them. But otherwise, towards the end of the year, we will assess how wrong I was and look at how right the other guys might be.
There you go.
This week's episode is brought to you as well by our friends at Squarespace. Enter the offer code WORLD at checkout, WORLD, and you'll get 10% off your first purchase. Make your next move with Squarespace. Squarespace lets you easily create a website for your next idea, that big project that you've got on the horizon, that thing that's been borrowed away in your brain that you really just want to get out there. And with a unique domain, award-winning templates, and more, you'll have all of the tools that you need. Maybe you want to create an online store to sell those enamel pins that you've been thinking about having made. Or maybe you want to create a portfolio of your artwork so you can display it for a potential job, a design job in the future. Or maybe you want to create a blog to spread your wild predictions about Apple products out into the world. Squarespace is an all-in-one platform that can let you do just that, some of it or all of it. There's nothing to install, no patches to worry about, no upgrades needed. You don't have to worry about any of that stuff because Squarespace have got you covered. They also have you covered with support. They have award-winning 24/7 customer support in case you need anything. They have the ability to let you quickly and easily grab a unique domain name, and all of their award-winning templates are beautifully designed for you to show off your great ideas. Squarespace plans start at just $12 a month. And you can start a trial with no credit card required by going to squarespace.com. Squarespace isn't necessarily just for you either. If you have people in your life that want to start projects, or you want to help somebody out with a website that they've been, someone's been bugging you, they have this little thing that they want to get started, but they're not sure how to get it started. Maybe you should just give them a Squarespace account, or at least help them set up with a free trial. Then when you decide to sign up, use the offer code WORLD. It's going to get you 10% off your first purchase and show your support for this show. That's WORLD for 10% off. Thank you to Squarespace for their support of Connected and Relay FM. Squarespace, make your next move, make your next website. So we are going full on first episode of the year today. We've made predictions for the year, and we're also now going to take a moment to talk about some New Year's technology resolutions, inspired by the fact that Stephen made a great YouTube video.
Thank you.
It's my favorite of your YouTube videos because it really made me laugh a lot. You should go and watch it. Stephen has a very weird way of outlining his technology predictions for the year. I will not spoil it. But Stephen, what are your actual things that you're trying to do in technology this year?
So mine aren't so much about technology itself, but how I could use it in some different projects. And the biggest one is taking a photo a day in 2017. So sometimes these are called Project 365s. I've done 3 of them. I did one in 2008, one in 2009, and then one, I believe, in 2013, I think is my last one. It is super difficult to take a picture a day. Like by the time you get to March, you've run out of ideas, but it's really like creatively challenging to get out and take a photo. The first couple of years I did it, it was like what made that day special. This year, I'm not really holding myself to a theme like that. I just want to have a photo processed and posted every day. So I'm taking it with either my iPhone or either 2 of my cameras. I have a Sony RX100 and then a Canon 70D. It doesn't matter what camera I take it on. I can take it with my iPad if I want. But just having a little story about the day. I'm sharing them on Instagram and a photo website called 500px. I still have a Flickr account, but I just can't bring myself to put anything on it. In fact, I'm probably going to end up closing that account relatively soon because I don't want that content going to whoever is going to own Yahoo. But so sharing a photo every day. As far as editing, I'm being conservative. if I shoot with my quote unquote real cameras, I'm shooting in RAW, so I'm using Photoshop to edit. I'm saving them all in Photos with iCloud Photo Library, having them everywhere. So that's not really like a technology resolution, but it's one that will use technology every single day, and using learning my cameras, understanding them better, understanding what I can do with them better, is something I'm looking forward to. Really, the second one is being kind of online less. And so most of the time, if I'm sitting down at my desk like I am right now, Tweetbot is open on the left, fourth of my screen. And that's just been that way forever. I mean, coming up on a decade now, we've had Twitter and Twitter clients. And that's something that I'm trying to dial back. I'm not leaving Twitter. I'm not taking a sabbatical like some people have. Myke, I know you tried that last year, and I think that you learned a lot from that. Mm-hmm. Mine isn't going to be that extreme, but sort of dialing it back. So if I'm at work and I'm doing something, if I'm recording a show or I'm editing or if I'm doing bookkeeping, not having Tweetbot open, just it scrolls in the background. Don't need to see it. And when I do have it open, I've implemented Quitter, which is an application by our friend Marco. Lots of apps do this. You can basically tell Quitter, hey, after set number of minutes, after 5 minutes, hi Tweetbot, or quit Slack. You can tell it to do a bunch of different things. And so kind of making that stuff go away if I'm not actively using it, just being less passively on Twitter is something that I think is going to be good and will make the inevitability that Twitter goes out of business easier for me to stomach. So it's kind of a win-win. So those are my two things. As far as like setup or process, I've been thinking a lot about this. I feel pretty set in my ways in the way that I work and the hardware and software that I use. It's not to say that I'm not experimenting and trying new things, but my workflows feel really solid, and I don't really want to rock the boat there much with what I'm doing and how I'm doing it. So it's more about just kind of how I interact with it as a person, and not so much about the technology itself.
In 2017, I want to give myself more time. Just in general, I just want time back, and we're thinking about ways to do that from logistically as a business, but there's also some things I think I can do with my workflows to allow me to do this, and I had decided that my technology workflow theme for the year is to be more like Federico. That is my theme, and this theme takes a few different pillars. One is switching to Todoist, and I have been threatening to do this for what feels like a million weeks now. Do it. I'm gonna do it, but to do it, I need to sit and manually write out everything because there's no easy way to switch that I can find. I'm using OmniFocus right now. And there's a couple of reasons. One of them ties into everything else. It's that the fact that I'm able to automate my task manager in some way. Things can get posted to it from calendar events. I can speak to my Echo and have it dictate things into there. I was recently traveling. When I arrived in a different time zone, it asked if I wanted to switch all of the times for me, which was just like a hallelujah moment, so that my tasks aren't triggering at 5 a.m. because it's in the local time zone. They would be triggering at the correct time zone in the correct time. That is what I want.
In the right time. Tickling in the right time zone.
It would tickle me in the right time zone. Part of this will also be then switching some of my calendars to Google Calendar so I can integrate them with Todoist. So that will be an interesting thing to do. I don't think I'm going to switch everything, but I may switch my kind of podcast recordings calendar to Google Calendar so they can trigger into Todoist to alert me that I need to edit a show, which is one of the main things that I'm excited about. I want to get into time tracking, because I feel like that the time tracking will help the whole thing if I'm trying to get more time back to understand what are the areas I put too much time into. So that's something I want to look into this year. And then automation, because automation will help me with all of these things. So bringing together things into Todoist and time tracking and all that stuff. So looking into Zapier and workflow a bit more. I feel like it's time to try and get some of these apps to work for me, rather than me working for them.
Yeah, it's good.
Federico, will you be my personal coach?
I can be your muse, Myke, if you want.
Yeah, okay.
The time tracking one is interesting. I did a lot of that when I first started out as an indie person. I guess now a year and a half ago. And for me, it was really important just to understand that, how much time I was spending and making sure that it was roughly equivalent to how much money I was making in these different areas. And after about 6 months, I sort of slowly dropped it as I understood my workflow and kind of how things were going. And recently, Federico, I know you've been doing this with Toggle, which is a really nice app and web service to do time tracking. Yeah. Although their Mac app is not very good, but they don't have an iPad app. But I set that up, I don't know, maybe 4 weeks ago and started tracking my time again. And very quickly felt like it wasn't helpful, like that it was sort of forcing me to work in chunks. I know, Myke, you and Gray have talked a lot about this on Cortex, that he works in like these big, whatever it is, 40-minute chunks. And I really don't work that way. Maybe it's that I have too much going on, but I try to be responsive to certain things. So if certain types of emails come in or certain types of problems come up, I drop what I'm doing to go to work on those. So part of that is just running the type of business that we run. Like Relay does have emergencies sometimes. And so I felt the time tracking was really stressful. Like I didn't enjoy what I was learning from it. In the couple of weeks I was doing it, I learned basically that my pie chart is basically how it's been, that I wasn't really surprised by anything in there. So I dropped it again. And so I'm very curious. I want to come back to this, and I want Federico, especially want to hear how you're doing it on iOS. I think this is a whole topic we need to get into. But it really jumped out at me that Myke, you and I both talked about this like in December, and I kind of jumped into it for a while and really didn't like it. Like it really felt hamstrung in my work, and so have backed out of it. But we can touch base on that again, maybe later this month.
All right. So my New Year's resolutions are really not about tech, and I feel like last year, 2016. I went through a lot of changes, both from a technological perspective for the tools that we use and the services that we use in MacStories, and also in terms of staff, writers and new people. And I feel like this year I want to relax more, delegate more, and sleep more. Those are the most important things that I want to do. I want to find a better balance. I want to put the tools that I have to good use, and I want to have more presence from other writers on MacStories, which is not to say that I don't want to write anymore. In fact, I want to do less management and I want to do more writing. And I feel like if I can find a better balance, I can relax more, have a better sleep schedule, I can get to, I can write more often, more stories, more reviews, and basically not do a repeat of last year, which was more about setting up the infrastructure for the club, for MacStories, all those other things. That said, I also want to exercise at least 4 times a week, which is, a goal that I'm trying to. I've been trying to complete for the past couple of weeks before I left for vacation and then I got sick. So I'm trying to, to assemble a kind of home gym, with a bunch of equipment and try to exercise at least 4 times a week. I think that would be good for me. And in terms of professional resolutions, I guess one of the areas where I should improve is I need to read and I need to participate in more stories about Apple that are not necessarily inside my usual area of interest. So I want to read, I want to understand more stories about Apple and about Apple users that are not about iOS and people who use iOS. I feel like I've focused on iOS so much, it's easy to lose perspective about what other types of Apple users, what their problems are, who they are, and how they're using Apple devices. Because this is my job. I have a website about Apple, and I don't want to live in an echo chamber that is all about iOS. I don't plan on switching from iOS, but I feel like it'd be healthy for me to listen and read and understand different stories. And on that line, I'm also gonna add, this is something that I probably do once a year, and I think it'd be good for me to do it more often. I want to use more Apple services for longer periods of time. In the past year, I switched to a lot of third-party services like Spotify, for example. And I think it'd be good for me to try Apple Music again, to try Apple News, to try Siri more, to use more HomeKit devices, to understand better the kind of new ecosystem that Apple is building. Because I think just like it was good for me to dip my toes into third-party services and see what's outside my usual sphere of coverage, I think it'd be good now to see again what Apple has done with iOS 10, what they're doing with Siri, what they're doing with services. So I think it'd be interesting to kind of gain this new Apple perspective this year. But I'm really excited about relaxing more and sleeping more, honestly.
I wish you the best of luck in that, man.
Yeah, thank you. I will try.
It's tricky. It's tricky. Like, you know, like listening to you talk about those things, and you're kind of like, one part is like, I want to bring more people in and delegate more, and then the other part is like, I want to write more, and I'm not sure.
No more people. More people.
Well, like, you know, the idea of less management, more delegation, and I'm interested to see if that's going to work out for you.
Yeah, I know. It's tricky for me because I like to control every little aspect of my business, and I don't plan to change that. But my idea is, with the structure now in place, I don't have to think about the structure anymore. I don't have to do the setup again, basically. It's like setting up a new gadget. Once it's set up, you just need to keep using it. And so if Mac Stories is my iPhone, now I just need to keep using it because I did the setup last year. That's the idea.
Good luck, man.
Thank you.
Not that I don't think you can do it, but like it's hard.
I know.
You know?
I know.
It's very hard.
Yeah.
All right, I think that's wrapped it up, right? We're all feeling like we're going into a brand new year with predictions in our pocket and resolutions in our hearts. If you want to find our show notes for this week, go to relay.fm/connected/123 show notes maker. Thanks again to our sponsors this week, Casper and Squarespace. If you want to find Federico online, go to macstories.net or find him at Viticci, Viticci. Stephen is at 5tallpixels.net, and he is at ISMH. On Twitter, I am at iMyke, IMYKE. Thank you so much for listening. We'll be back next time. Until then, say goodbye, guys.
Arrivederci.
Adios.